We'd been writing together for a very long time, and working out how to collaborate, because we knew we wanted to write together. We knew we shared the same sort of sensibility, and we liked a lot of the same things, and we always felt somehow weirdly that we were better together than we were apart. That we were our best selves when we were together. And so we kind of and also it was a ruse for many years. It was an excuse really, because I was living in America and she was living in England, and we were spending so much money on telephone bills and flights to see each other that we ended up having to invent this kind of reason that we're writing a script.
And we got the title.
We really had only got the title. So it took us about 10 years to progress from it wasn't Doll and Em, it was called something else, and it wasn't this.
Film, it was a different story. I think also the film took us a very long time to write, and we learnt how to write together, and as Em says, we had the same sort of sense of humour and the same interests and the same things that we wanted, but it was also trying to find out what we wanted to say. And I suppose the answer to your question is that this, although the characters are not, they've got similar names, they look like us, they aren't us, but it was a world that we both understood and knew about, and there were subjects and things that we had spent hours and hours laughing about or talking about, or that sort of female friendship, jealousy within female, I can't say female friendship, all sorts of, so it just seemed very easy, and something that we both were inspired by the same things. We both loved The Servant and All About Eve, the film and the play, and so we knew that was something that, and we could, I suppose, have set it in a completely different world, but we tried in some things that we've written together before. You set something in a world that you really don't understand, and then it's quite hard. Do you remember? I mean, things like The Gymnast, or there's situations where you're thinking, oh, this is brilliant. What do you think someone does who is a whatever? So it was a world that we knew and we understood, and therefore it was a bit more. We were just dealing with the subjects that we cared about, rather than having to panic or research or build up some huge world that wasn't familiar to either of us.
Very little of it is actually stuff that's... Well, no, there are things that have happened to us. I'm trying to think. But it's a combination, I guess, it's just how all writers work, where it's a combination of stories that you've heard, of things that have happened to you, and then also of what we did was we imagined a scenario where what would happen if you put a perfect friendship that, like the one that we hope we have, a wonderful childhood friendship. What would happen if you put that in real jeopardy? If you suddenly threw just a tremendous spanner into the works, by making one of the characters work for the other character in a kind of a servant-like role, how horrendous would that be? And then once you have that, and also how funny. And then once you have that idea, you start riffing on it, and it gets it escalates, and you think of more and more and more and more excruciating things. And then of course you add your own experiences in there and heighten them. But
and once you've thought of the characters, I mean, we used to really laugh at the assistant character, like imagining what the assistant would do. We'd have, because it's riffing, exactly. You can take her to.
That was almost the most fun bit. Was because of course the convention is how that this sort of diva actress that's so horrible to her assistant, and there's a lot of that in there. But then we were very mindful of making the thing balanced, so that no matter how, and both of us behaved terribly badly throughout the show, but at different times. But you always want to be able to understand both characters and to relate to them, and to even when they're behaving at their seeming worst.
You don't lose understanding or respect for them.
So we were very careful to try to understand the actress's point of view, even though one's instinct is to be on the side of the assistant. So that was the funnest part of it, in a way, thinking of things that could really be, that Dolly could do as the assistant, that would really screw up this actress and make life really hard for her.
I think that all emotions are universal. I think if a joke works, and there's plenty that maybe we've tried to come up with that didn't, or we got rid of, or it works in the same way as a sad moment. You know, the moments that are, you know, you heard the same sort of noise when we showed it in Los Angeles. We showed it to a few friends and things, that whatever nationality they were, if there's a moment of, I don't know, sadness or betrayal or any of the things they're going through, it translates because it's real.
Yes, and also the idea of this friendship, a best friendship between two women of a certain age. Actually, I mean, I hate to make too much of that part, because of course we aren't 40, we're 30.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, that's easily relatable across the world. You know, and I hope that we've tried to really explore all the nuances of a really close friendship, and how important it is to you as a woman to have this incredibly close friend, but how it can turn competitive quite quickly, especially when men are involved, especially when you're starting to feel like you're losing your whatever, je ne sais quoi, and then someone pays you attention, and that might be the last time anyone does, and so you want it for yourself, you don't want to share it, you know, and then the heartbreaking feeling of losing a best friend, and that how awful that would be, and how along with losing that friend, you're losing years and years and years of shared memories and experiences, and
like a death or something.
And so I hope that that's something that everybody the world over will get.
Yeah.